Now, before I show you how to make beef braciole better than your grandma, we first need to prepare the beef, so let's just jump right into it. Now, what beef braciole is, or braciole in general, is just another word for involtini. Basically just means a roll-up. And so the idea is we slice beef thin, season the inside with a whole bunch of goodies, roll it up, tie it up, braise it in tomato sauce. So before we get into slicing the beef and getting all beefy everywhere, let's prepare all the insides, the stuffing that we're gonna need to make this braciole better than your grandma. And no disrespect to grandma, I'm a student of the grandma. I identify as a grandma. But we're gonna take the idea of the beef braciole and we're gonna amp up the flavors. We're gonna think a little outside the box. We're gonna try and minimize the cost on some of the more expensive ingredients like prosciutto and pine nuts. Get those out of the way and replace them with other stuff. First thing I need to do is I'm gonna take a few cloves of garlic, three or four of them I'm gonna grate into this little bowl, so it's a nice fine puree. First, the grated garlic. Using a microplane, grate the garlic into a small bowl until it becomes a fine puree. This will be for the braciole. Then I'm gonna grab a few more cloves, slice them very thin. This garlic will be for making the tomato sauce. Next up, fresh parsley. Roll it up into a tight bunch and then slice it very thinly. Then turn the knife 90 degrees and start to process it into a fine dice. And then get two small bowls. About half of that mixture is gonna go in one bowl for the braciole. The other bowl will be reserved for garnish at the end. Then one of my secrets in this recipe are cherry peppers. Pull out about a quarter cup to a half cup cherry peppers, chop those up into a small dice, get those into a bowl. So for the stuffing, we've got the cherry peppers, we've got the parsley, we've got the grated garlic, we've got seasoned Italian breadcrumbs, pecorino romano. Like I said, we're not using prosciutto, we're not using pine nuts. What I'm gonna use is some hot Italian sausage that I've just removed from their casing. That porkiness, that fat, plus the cherry peppers, a little brightness from some lemon zest, and some beautiful Italian oregano. Keep it in this bag, you just cut holes at the top and then you kind of just scrunch it up. This is gonna add a ton of flavor inside of the beef, while the pork fat is also gonna keep it moist from the inside. So now that we've got all this stuff prepared, we can set it off to the side. Then I'm also gonna need twine. So I'm basically gonna need, I don't know, what is that, 12 inches? You want slack anyway. So you're just gonna cut a whole bunch of twine, measure them out. I'm gonna go about 3 pieces per braciole, and I might be able to get maybe 6 or 7 bracioles out of this piece of beef that we're using. So now we've got our twine. We can set that off to the side. So I'm gonna get a big cutting board here. I also got a little cutting board. I'm gonna set that off to the side. We're gonna be cutting a lot of thin slices off the beef. So it's just nice to have a place to kind of move things around. Then I'm gonna use a little fillet knife, a straight fillet knife, very thin. It's gonna allow me to get thin slices. Depending on the width of your beef though, this might be a little short. So maybe a carving knife or something, or maybe a larger fillet knife might work, but I'm gonna make this work. Now what I got here is a 2.5 pound eye roast, top round, anything like that's gonna work. I like to use top round. The store didn't have top round today, so I got this eye round. See, it's just a single solid muscle of beef. That's all you want. Some stores will sell slices of beef for braciole, but if yours doesn't, here's how to cut it. Just like we do chicken breasts for chicken cutlets, we're gonna get down to beef level, get our knife nice and parallel with the beef, and then start shaving slices of the beef horizontally, taking your time and being careful. Now the top slice is a bit thick, so I'm gonna butterfly it, a move that you can always implement for sure. Now we have a bit more of a flat surface, so we can get a little bit thinner slices. Well, this slice is actually still a little thick. I'm calibrating here. This slice, however, I'm feeling. It's nice and thin. This is a good one, but don't worry, we're gonna be pounding these thinner anyways. Once I get down past halfway through the beef, I flip it so that there's another flat surface facing the cutting board, and then I'm gonna start shaving from the other curved side until I'm done cutting the beef. Once you got that beef cut, place a few slices on the board at a time, cover with plastic wrap, and then we're gonna start pounding the beef. I like using a rolling pin. You could use a mallet as well. But I'm also gonna pound it at an angle away from me. Pounding it at an angle sort of spreads the beef out, so the slice of beef becomes actually longer and wider and easier to roll. Then rotate the pounded beef out, get it onto a plate and replace it with more slices, and just work your way through pounding out all the pieces of beef, trying your best to get each slice relatively equal in size and thickness. You want to start to lay them out on the cutting board, but you want to lay them so that the grains are pointing straight away from you and that the tapered edge is closest to you. First thing we're going to do is salt this side of the beef. We're gonna take the garlic and we're gonna smear it a little bit just onto the surface of the meat. It's gonna flavor it. Then we can start to add a bit of the diced cherry pepper to each piece of beef. I could have probably used a little bit more cherry peppers, so I'm being a little stingy with it, but just chop up a little more if you're running low. We're gonna follow up the cherry peppers with some fresh chopped parsley. Just sprinkle a nice amount on each piece. This isn't a science, really. Then we're gonna take those Italian seasoned breadcrumbs and sprinkle a few hefty pinches of those breadcrumbs on each piece of beef. On top of the breadcrumbs, roughly the same amount of pecorino romano cheese. Next, we're gonna take some of that Italian oregano and we're just gonna scrunch that up and sprinkle that on top of each piece. And then I'm gonna take a microplane and grate some lemon zest onto each piece. 1 lemon should do the trick. Finally, I'm gonna take some of the loose sausage meat. I'm gonna pull it and stretch it out sort of flat and just place it right on top of the stuffing. You don't need to go crazy. We don't need a ton in there. The more you add, the harder it's gonna be to contain the roll up. Now we're ready to roll them. Starting with that tapered edge closest to you, lift up that end, pull it over the stuffing and almost pull it back tight like you're rolling a burrito. You don't really need to fold in the sides, but if you have excess, you can. Then just slowly roll it up nice and tight and then set it off to the side. This piece right here, you can see there's a little flap hanging out, right? So I'm just gonna fold that in and then roll it up. Then you can just make your way through rolling up the rest of the beef. And when you're done, it's time to tie them up. Each piece is gonna need about 2 to 3 pieces of that twine. So you just take one at a time, shimmy it under the beef, then loop that twine up, not once like you would do your shoe, but twice to create a stronger knot. Then you're gonna repeat that loop twice again, and then you can pull it taut. It doesn't need to be too tight though, or it will almost cut the beef when it becomes tender. Once you make your way through tying up all the beef, take some kitchen shears and snip off the excess, and then we're ready to go. So now we got our beef braciole rolls ready to go. They're just gonna get salted and seared. And for the sauce, I'm just gonna go with a muti passata today. When my Bianco di Napoli tomatoes are sold out, I tend to just go for a passata, which is what's called after I run my whole peeled tomatoes through a food mill. That's essentially the passata. So this is already done for you. You just wanna find a good brand, and muti is a good one. You're just gonna make sure before you head on over to the stove that your oven is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and now we can sear the braciole. In a large Dutch oven on high heat, add enough oil to coat the bottom of the pan. Once it's hot, take a piece of the braciole and hit it on all sides of the outside with salt, which have yet to be seasoned. Then place it in the oil and press it down. Make sure it makes full contact with the bottom of the pan in that oil. And then repeat that same process with the rest of the braciole. Now generally you don't really want to overcrowd the pan, but it's really annoying to leave one piece left to sear, so I'm just going to overcrowd it. But I know my pan conducts heat well, so I'm gonna get my sear. You see that? That's a nice sear. And once you start developing color on the beef, start to flip them to just brown them on all sides. The ones in the middle, however, need more time. That's the coolest part of the pan. So I'll just rearrange them to the edge of the pan, which I know is hotter than the center based on how the burner is designed. Once the beef is seared and you've developed a ton of color and flavor on the bottom of the pan, get them out of the pan for a minute, then add that garlic to the oil. Cook it for a minute or two until fragrant and begins to lightly toast around the edges, and then we can deglaze it with about a cup or 2 of some good white wine. Something dry, something you drink. Now use a flat bottom wooden spoon to scrape up all that flavor off the bottom of the pan, and once that wine has reduced a bit, then we can add the tomato passata, which is super thick, too thick for this long cook. So I'm gonna fill up that bottle with water and add it to the pan. If you're cooking for more than a few people, I'd go ahead and use a second jar of passata just to make sure you have enough sauce in the end. Stir it up. I can see it's still too thick, so I'm gonna add another bottle of water to thin it out. You really need that extra moisture for this long cook, otherwise the sauce may over reduce and potentially burn. Season the sauce with some salt, then return the braciole back to the pot with all the juices that accumulated in that dish. Bring the sauce up to a simmer, cover with a lid, and place in that 350 degree Fahrenheit oven and forget about it for a few hours. So then we're gonna let that cook for about 3 hours. After 3 hours, we're gonna check it for tenderness and for thickness and consistency of the sauce. And then we'll take it from there. So it's been about 3 hours. We're gonna pull it out, get it onto the stovetop, and see where we're at. The sauce has reduced nicely. It looks nice and thick. There is a layer of fat at the top. I'm going to stir it into the sauce to emulsify it. If there's too much oil after that, you can always remove some of it. but not too much because that fat is the defining flavor of this sauce. Then with a cake tester, I'm gonna check tenderness. The outer layer of the beef should be super tender, the inner layer should be nice and fork tender, but it could also have a little more bite or texture. The idea is for that beef to be able to be cut with a fork and not fall apart entirely and maintain that shape as a roll. Now it's time for my honorary bread sacrifice, and for those who scoff at dipping bread in sauce for whatever your grandma told you, you can get out of here with that nonsense. My kitchen, my rules. These are perfect, and I'm gonna set that off to the side and prepare the pasta. Get a small pan to finish the pasta, or a larger one if you're cooking for a lot of people, and then fill up a pot of water, get it on the stove, and bring it up to a boil. Now in the summer, I don't buy basil, I pick basil. A few leaves for the garnish will be fine. Then today I'm gonna pair the braciole with some squared spaghetti or some spaghetti alla città, which takes about 11 minutes to get to al dente. I'm just gonna be cooking for one today, so I'm gonna measure out about 3.5 ounces of the pasta, but you can cook as much as you like. Once the water is boiling, season it with some salt and then drop the pasta. And while that cooks, I'm gonna take the braciole I want, I'm gonna get it out of the sauce, I'm gonna snip off that twine that was holding it together, and then I'm gonna place it back in the pot to stay warm. See how it's holding together? If it's not, if it's falling apart, you overcooked them. Still gonna be good though. Now that pasta should be al dente. And I'm gonna get that pan on the stove that I'm gonna finish the pasta in. Get the pan hot and then add a few ladles of the tomato sauce, which I notice is thickening up a bit more than I'd like, so I'm gonna adjust that in a second. Strain out your pasta, get it into the pan with the sauce, and start to marry the pasta with the sauce. I like to throw a little butter in there too and get it all worked in. Now I'm gonna adjust that pasta sauce like I mentioned with some of the pasta water. Get it all mixed up and now it should be a little looser. It's perfect now. Once that sauce has coated the pasta and it's perfectly al dente, now we're ready to serve. Now whenever you plate pasta, you're gonna wanna plate it in a warm bowl or plate. If you want to form a little nest of pasta, you're gonna wanna take some tongs or these pasta tweezers, pick up the strands of pasta, then roll them up on the tweezers. And then I like to lean it forward a little bit to bunch it nice and tight, and then twirl it again to create a nice tight nest and transfer it onto the plate. On top goes the braciole. Then we're gonna take our sauce, which is now the perfect consistency, and pour a generous amount right on top. Then some pecorino romano cheese, some fresh parsley, and finally some fresh basil. And just from the look of it, it's exactly how I want it. The pasta's perfectly cooked. Now let's see if the braciole passes the test. Does it cut with a fork? Check. It stays together and is not falling apart? Check. And it should be insanely delicious and moist. Double check. I'm extremely happy with this recipe. Your grandma, on the other hand, may not be, because now she knows you can make braciole better than her. So what you basically have is a beef roll with meatball flavor vibes. It's got the acidity and the spiciness from the cherry peppers and the lemon. The pork fat has kept it moist, and the flavor it gives to the sauce is beautiful. And that is why this beef braciole is better than your grandma. Recipe's gonna be down in the description. That's all that I have today. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself and go feed yourself.